Hey, girlfriend, how are you? We are going to have an incredible conversation today with Brenda Reiss about showing up for ourselves, that quiet courage of choosing yourself. And then talking about one of my favorite things, boundaries, because boundaries has been super hard for me. And Brenda was, before we went live, I asked her the question, what do you really want women to get out of this today? And she said, the permission to pause. So, ladies, I hope you're taking a pause from your busy day and just to come and have a conversation, unfiltered, raw. We're going to go into a little bit of Brenda's story, and I'm just going to do a little shout out here. Brenda has been a lifeline for me. Brenda, and and I may break into tears because you have helped me so much walk through so many difficult pieces of my story. And really what it has given me is a freedom to show up for myself, a freedom to separate the emotion from the circumstances many times over. And I had never experienced that before, Brenda. I had never had the opportunity to take a look at a situation and see what it was mirroring back for me to learn, to be open and willing to feel the feelings of the situation, and then have the courage to step out and set some boundaries for myself. I had never done that in my entire life. And that's why I think I am so honored to have you as as a sponsor of our Being Brave tour, to come alongside us and be a resource mentor, that encouragement, that little wisdom as you share your story with us. So welcome, and just say hello to the ladies.
Hello, ladies. I am really excited actually to be a part of this movement and how much it's growing.
Yeah.
The different stories I'm hearing, the different women that are coming on board, and it has been, because we've been together quite a while. Going through some things like, we're forged through fire. And
Yeah.
it truly is an honor, right? To be able to be a space where women can share, like you, when you share your story, because those are very vulnerable and they're intimate. And a lot of times it's things that we haven't really said out loud before. Mm-hmm. And I feel honored to have that, or to hold that space for women. And because I needed that myself. And so, yeah, it's an honor.
Yes. And you talk about you mentioned something, and it brought a song to my brain, with the wisdom through the pain. And now I Am Woman by Helen Reddy, and that's you and I have had some stories, and we've shared some of our stories along the way. And we have some similar stories. It may not be the exact circumstances, but a lot of similarities of walking through, and the type of people that, some of these resilience, and I think you've talked about how you were the responsible one, and there was success, and yet behind the scenes there was all this other stuff, and not choosing yourself. And Brenda, I think that's one of the things that I hear a lot from women, is that the self-sacrifice, that they're putting everybody else first. We're supposed to come and just serve and not get anything. I even walked, because we've got our kids. And so sometimes we put our kids up on a platform and we give all of ourselves. It's like, we're not supposed to take anything until we've given everything, and you talk a little bit about that too. And as you start out in this resource. So ladies, first of all, I want to let you know that we are looking at, and we'll put it in the comments too, and it's in some of the comments already, the download for the magazine. And you don't even have to give us your email. Just download the magazine, and Brenda's resources on page 31. So flip to page 31 if you're watching or listening. And, and so I'm right now just looking at the first page. And you say the greatest act of courage is often not doing more, but doing things differently.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Because, that's where my permission, or actually to pause, but we can say even the courage to pause, right? Which I talk about in the article, because, Courage is often, loud and proud. Courage is like the act of, taking risks and relentless momentum and showing up when you're sick and doing the things. And that's not exactly what, courage can be quiet.
Yeah.
It's courage is all about, it's not so much about being totally radical. It's the quiet courage that's the hardest.
Yeah.
It's listening to that inner voice that says, maybe not now. Maybe now's not the time. Yeah, but no, maybe now's not the time. Because if we listen rather than override, right? If we choose self-honoring over self-sacrifice.
So
This
you said something really important. Let's pause there for a second. You just said self-honoring.
Self-honoring. Yeah.
And listening. Brenda, I think one of the things that, as I was walking through this, that too, I have not been used to listening to my own voice because I'm so consumed about taking care of everybody else, feeling responsible for their happiness or their emotions, or carrying that burden for them, feeling needed, all those things. And I think that's one of the things that I get caught up in a little bit. So let's discover this a little bit about choosing ourselves and what does that look like?
Yeah. Choosing ourselves is a challenge. All right. Because we've got, not only societal,
Mhm.
but we've got familial, we've got, well, really it comes from familial, but societal is in there from the time that we're born. It's kind of fascinating how we're segmented into even like what girls are supposed to do, what boys are supposed to do.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's also, there's also information out there about our brains that, if you look at a boy and a girl up until the age of 13, if you ask them what they want, they will tell you both. But at 13, a boy will still tell you, but a girl goes, "What do you want?"
Oh,
Because our brains actually shift. Yeah, into relational brains. And so it's fascinating. Now, then you add in all of the other factors, the environment and that kind of thing. But it's like, wow. And I'm learning more about this because it's important to understand. I love it because part of forgiveness and even emotional freedom is about knowing ourselves. Now, how can I show up fully and completely? How can I be a good self leader, let alone a leader to others, if I don't understand who I am?
mhm.
What drives me? Why am I driven so hard? Why am I pushing myself past the boundary that I said I wasn't going to do? Right?
Yeah,
And just
that's
what's that story?
yeah. And I think that's part of the thing. So when I was walking through divorce, people kept going, "Well, what do you want? You can do whatever you want. What do you want?" And I absolutely hated that question. And I still need to reframe that because as I was walking through this, that was kind of one of the questions. You have to know what you want before you can even set a boundary
Yeah,
or, and I think I do. It's like, oh, what does that other person want?
right.
And so I am starting to turn that around.
Mhm.
So, kind of, how can we start having that conversation to discover what it is that we want so we can honor ourselves? Because we can't honor ourselves unless we know who we are.
Correct. Exactly. And that's why, it's you've heard me say this before, you can't change something you don't know is there. Okay?
Yeah.
What I realized was, and like you and I've had this conversation where we were just doing, we were just acting, we just without even thought. It's
Mhm.
like, and then of course you look at our relationships, you're looking at clients, it just how we do anything is how we do everything. So if I start to look at what are the things showing up in my life that I'm not quite happy with, right? It's kind of like, we start to get that kind of twinge, we start to get that little
Mhm.
resentment or the comparison that shows up for us, like you and I talked a little bit about before we hit record.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I do the same thing. It's like, "Ooh, look what she's doing. Oh, shoot, I need to up my game here. Oh, no." And it's because I don't feel good enough in what I'm doing or who I am. Because that comparison, where does that come from? It doesn't come from the part of me that knows who I am. it comes from the other part of me that
Mm.
still is looking for other people or external validation,
Um,
external, right, information. And it's always saying, it's not enough. I'm not enough. It's never it. We always turn it back around to I'm.
mm.
So that mirror that we talk about is really valuable when it comes to the boundaries. And to be able to do things differently, we have to know kind of what it is that is showing up for me outside of myself. Where am I feeling tired? Where am I feeling that little resentment? And not brush it off, but use it as information.
Yes. And I'm thinking of all kinds of examples in my own life. And,
Yeah.
yes. And so, yeah, there's, so yeah, a lot of us are in that space where we're having to take care of our parents.
Mm.
And there was one day I had to stop and I had to say, what is it that I want? I know what my parents need or whatever, what is my role going to be in this? And one of the things I said to myself is, I want to be the daughter.
Mm.
I don't necessarily want to be the caregiver, but in the caregiving space, this is what I'm willing to do. And if they need more help, then that we need to hire and help, or other people need to help, or whatever that looks like. I had to be really clear. So I set a boundary for myself.
Yes.
I said, this is what I am willing to do. And I think one of the words that you have brought up very often that really resonated with me, because the word boundary it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, that's right.
And so the words that I always use for myself that you taught me was, what am I available for?
Mm.
And I like that. It's just softer. It's not like rigid, and,
Yeah.
and you can change your mind. I'm available for this. Now I'm not available for that. It
Yeah.
just, it spoke to me. And then I think in that too, and the other word that you use that really has always resonated with me too is honor.
Mm.
Then how will that honor who I am and how I want to live my life?
Yes. The honor is important because we don't feel honored. We
Mm.
feel used.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
You
okay.
know?
How many ladies out there relate
Exactly.
to that? That's
Well,
a
we feel used, and
yeah,
it's kinda interesting because we overextend ourselves, right?
yeah,
And we
absolutely.
let this kind of resentment grows, but we put it down, but our body starts to tighten, right? Our breath gets shallower, and we're really exhausted. And we it can look good, it can look successful, but on the inside we hear this a lot. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm looking successful on the outside, but on the inside, I'm dying.
Yeah.
I'm dying, and so this is where honoring I'm worth honoring, but I know, but no one's ever really told me that, or if they did, I didn't believe them because I still have these voices that started way, way, way back that are still sitting in my head. That's what pops up every time we go to up level, every time we go to do something new, right? There's always this fear, there's this resistance. And it's like, what is that? One, identifying the voices, because that's part of the
Mhm.
boundaries, or knowing what we're available for. Really getting so honest with ourselves that really do we want to do this? And we have to sit with this for a little while, because I was so used to just doing things because they said that's what I was supposed to do. The
Yeah,
voices, I'm listening to people who I thought knew more than me,
yeah.
but they didn't know me. So I'm trying to fit this square peg into the round hole thing, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
and all the while feeling agitated, but thinking that's just part of growth.
Hmm.
It's just part of growth. That's what you're supposed to do, until my body started to break down. And then the body goes, "Uh-oh, nope."
Yes. So let's
So
let's share a little bit of your story and how this whole topic kind of has related to maybe some things that you have gone through recently, where you were looking at success, things, going along, you've got, some accomplishments, you're building in a business, you've built a family, all these things, and yet there's more to the story.
well, there is, and, it took I've been married a few times, Okay. I was out to become an expert in relationships. Really, that's what it's research.
There you go.
So it's on this marriage that I thought I finally figured this out, right? I really was, when we got married, I was in my 50s and I'm like, okay, we found each other later in life and got this figured out. And then when I was working on my business, I'm noticing I'm not with Doug so much. I'm working at the computer. I'm figuring out social media. I'm doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm overachieving. I'm pushing hard because I'm uncomfortable. This is 30 plus years in corporate. And now I'm taking that drive, that push, that all that you learn, I'm putting it into this business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, there is a lot to entrepreneurship, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do have to wear all the hats.
Yes.
And yet I wasn't expecting the emotional growth, the personal development that comes with entrepreneurship.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
The hardest PhD I've ever gotten in myself.
Yes.
And, because then all the stuff comes up like that, the comparison, I'm not good enough. It used to take me 10 takes to do just a silly video, right?
Yeah,
Because it didn't look right. It didn't sound right. Thank goodness now for all of the tools we have. But, when I was doing this, it wasn't. And so I was going out, I'm doing the things, and people were saying, and I was, successful. I'm doing the group coaching, I'm doing the live workshops, and I'm doing the things, but I'm not happy. Inside. I'm tired. I'm never feeling like it's enough or that I'm enough. And so as I'm doing the forgiveness work, right, it's taking all the layers. And then you throw caregiving into the mix.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, Doug's not the same. Right. And I'm like, what? Going through all of that and getting the diagnosis of dementia after only being together 5 or 6 years. We had plans. We had, and I remember, like you, wanting to be the daughter. It was like doing all the things. I just wanted to be the wife.
Yeah.
But now that I'm this caregiver. And so it was added a different exhaustion to the mix. And so when you have this, it's really important to be able to know that we get to find ways. There's boundaries, right? So caregiving, because this is what we're taught, you give everything.
You give everything.
Right? You give everything. And you take care of, that's your job. And I had to put the business on hold while I did this.
Oh.
And even though some people would say, well, that's the loving thing to do, was it loving to me?
Yeah. And Brenda, isn't that so often? I just wrote that. I've been taking notes. I think a lot of women may resonate with this, that we have to give everything before we can give anything to ourselves. Where does that even come from? That was never spoken into me.
No.
But yet, and even I have, lots of sisters, and I don't think that they necessarily act that way, but for some reason, I don't know if it's my personality or whatever, but yeah, I feel like I have to give everything to everybody and not get anything in return, whether it be money or love or whatever. Where does that, how can we start talking to ourselves differently around that?
So just noticing, that alone, Karen, it's the first thing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people get tired of hearing it's awareness, but you can't change something you don't know is there. So the first thing is to notice these things. Where am I showing up differently, than others? Like we can notice, well, she doesn't do that. Why am I doing that? But realizing, and this is where honoring comes in, and just learning to like yourself a little bit better, because a lot of us don't even do that. A lot of us can't even look at ourselves in the mirror, honestly, at our eyes. That's one place that I started. Oh, that was given to me was, Brenda, I just want you to look in the mirror in your eyes and say one nice thing about yourself. Oh. Mm-hmm. And that was so hard. So I came up with, I like my cooking. But really, it was so hard to look.
Mhm.
And a lot of people would be able to look, but how often are you really looking at yourself and going, it's like, Karen, is this really what you want to do? Is
Uh,
this what you really, is this who you really are? But just noticing first, where am I uncomfortable? Where am I noticing that I'm getting kind of resentful or angry or frustrated? Just there. Just who is it and what is it? Because we
who and
can't,
what?
yeah, who and what. And then, because I love this little exercise that I give to people because it helps me. In fact, I do it often because what it is if something is irritating me is out there that's out of my control.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I can only do what I can control. So I picture a hula hoop coming over my head.
Okay.
That hula hoop is what I can control. Okay. So anything outside of that hula hoop, I can't. But I can bring something into my hula hoop. Meaning, if someone irritates me or situation, but we'll use a someone. So
Okay.
for instance, a comparison of a woman, right, that's doing business, they're doing something that we want to do, but we haven't really been able to do.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're not even supposed to do, but we want to do it. Or we think we should, but we're not going, how can I do it? We're going, well, who does she think she is? And look at her. I bet you she's exhausted. She's not doing this right. And blah, blah, blah. We start to make it wrong. Okay. So write down 5 to 10 things that irritate you about that person. So for instance, and it doesn't matter what it is, and we're not judging ourselves, right? We're going to be judgmental, but we're not judging ourselves for being judgmental. We're going to go, what irritates me? Okay. So for instance, oh, she's going to that event and she's sick. Okay, that really makes me mad because I'm not, willing to do that or whatever that is. And then it's like, well, she's just online every single day. And that is just, she's irritating me. That's just too much. That's too much. I don't want to do that. Right. But you're writing down like she's annoying or she's too forceful or her voice annoys me or, or she's doing too much. Okay. You write down the things, whatever it is that irritates you. You can do this for anybody. And then you take this, again, being judgmental in a non-judgmental way, you're taking all those things and you're saying, where am I doing that? Or the important part is, where am I not doing that? Because you're turning the mirror on yourself. The first mirror is out there. You're taking it and you're turning the mirror onto yourself. Because what usually happens is we're getting upset at someone else for something that we feel that we feel we can't do or we're afraid to do. Something that irritates us is something that we need to pay attention to, because it just reframing that is so helpful, because that's when I can notice my resistance. And resistance is good because that's the information I want. Usually resistance means it's only fear. False evidence appearing real, right? Fear, little acronym. So it's only fear. Any resistance, and the more resistance I have to the thing or the person, it can go either way. But most of the time, she's doing something that I really want to do, that I'm capable of doing, but I'm just afraid to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I've noticed that about myself, especially when it comes to like speaking to bigger audiences. I will get irritated at somebody doing something with a larger audience,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, oh, there it is, Brenda. There's that resistance.
Yeah.
And
As you say that word resistance too, I feel my body tensing up. I'm like, yeah. And my son one time, he said, well, Mom, why are you resisting this so much? It was a suggestion. And I'm like, well, and I was thinking of every reason I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it was a fear. And whether I was actually supposed to be doing that or not, but I wasn't facing the fear of even thinking about it.
Yes.
that
Yeah.
resistance. And
Yes.
and even as this applies to this worksheet that we're, that's
Mhm.
to just checking in with yourself. And I like what you said, that feeling. Where are you feeling this? Where are you feeling the resistance or the
Mhm.
you had mentioned a couple other things
Well,
too.
irritation or frustration, use those as information. Don't disregard anything. Feelings aren't facts, but feelings are information.
uh to explore.
Mhm.
And oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, because what does my body say, right? So this is the thing. It's like, nope, my body says nope, nope, nope. Now, sometimes this is a really important thing. If it's a super big resistance, that's why we want to play with it. We want to write about it because maybe is it the fear or is it really not for me? Maybe speaking to 50,000 people is not what I'm meant to do. But maybe 500, okay. So where does my body ease up a little bit? Where does it get tighter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where am I
Yeah.
holding my breath?
Yeah. And so, I do the comparison thing too. And and that's just part of learning where we are with ourselves and whatnot. But I have noticed that when I start comparing and I see all these wonderful things these women are doing, and they're
Yeah.
just, and it's working for them. And it's all this beautiful stuff that they're creating. And I've had to just stop myself and go and actually give like you said, to pause
Pause.
and think, is this really where I need to be? I love what they're doing. I am capable of doing that. But now that I'm in my 60s, do I really want to spend the energy doing
There
that?
you go.
And a lot of times now, and it's not necessarily setting boundaries with relationships with other people. Sometimes it's setting those boundaries with myself.
Oh, that's the first place to start.
Yeah.
Really,
And I
it
think
is.
that's the courage that we're talking about, that those little small decisions that, yeah, I was in a situation the other day and somebody said, oh, you should do this and do that. And I said, I need to think on that.
Good.
I needed to think on that. I needed to pause and go, let's look at this a little bit more rather than jumping in, because it sounded like such a great idea. And we were already starting to plan it. And it's like, oh, this sounds fun. And I said, hold on a second. I said, I need to pause for a moment. I need to really examine I need to go back to what my mission is and what I am doing, and to see if that's going to really move that needle forward, because that's the only thing I'm focused on right now.
Yeah, that's where you go back to your values and your mission, right? Even
Mhm.
a personal mission, because it changes. Our values change and our mission changes. As I'm a different person than I was in my 50s.
Yeah. Yes.
And we've had this conversation, which is, I think, a fabulous conversation to have, is women and how we change, that we aren't the same person. And when people say, I'm just driven, I don't need much sleep, I'm just go getter, that's who I am. Is it really? I always have to ask, is that true? Is that true? Or have you learned that?
Oh,
What's the story? And that's where you check in. What's the story that is driving, or what's the belief that's driving that story? Are you really? Because they're finding now with studies that people that believe in and do these extreme sports
mhm.
really don't feel very highly about themselves. So they're trying to constantly push, and there's studies now about it. So I find that's fascinating because it fits right in with what makes me excited
Yeah.
about learning about ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is really that courage to stop and pause and think on you know, like the thought of, do we have to do it all? Or do we have to sacrifice our whole selves to whatever? And it's just, it boggles my brain. And I love these things to exploring this, is because it's like, where did that thought even come from? Where did those things come from? And so you talk about what is a simple phrase that I can practice today,
Yeah.
using simple direct language. And you give some examples. I need time to process.
Yeah.
So what are some other ones that we can just simply, so girls, we're just going to take this like down to the bare minimum, and we just think of one thought, identify one one thought you've maybe been having, and then what's one thing you can say around that?
Well, it's so funny because an easy one is just to say, can I get back to you like that? Can I think about this and can I get back to you tomorrow or the next day? Because for those people like you that are an idea person,
Yeah,
right? Lots of ideas.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm more of a thinker and a processor.
Oh.
So for me, it's easier to go, no, but then I beat myself up for not acting like quicker on something. However, but it saved me many times. I need to process this before responding. That's good. But mainly, can I get back to you on this? I need to check my calendar. Can I get back to you? Because that's bringing your power back to you, especially if you're getting really excited. And some of the fun things that can be said is because I was when I do this in classes, the boundary thing, we come up with this. My battery is at 1%. I'm entering power saving mode right now. So I need to get back to you.
Yeah, and one that I use now too is I don't have the capacity right now.
Right. Yes.
The timing might not be right. And you know what? I may need to be saying some of these things to myself.
Well, exactly. So this is, a lot of times in my work, we start outside of ourselves and we bring it in. Because you've heard me say, inside my head, I've got a courtroom. I've got the judge, the jury, the prosecutor, defense attorney, victim, and, the perpetrator. I got all those people in here telling me what I should and shouldn't be doing, how come I should be doing that, and that I need to be doing that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But the voice that we get to grow, if we choose to, is the voice of compassion. So I've got the judge, the jury, I've got all that, but I need to bring in this voice of compassion. Boundaries is about compassion for yourself. What am I available for?
Yeah.
Well, first, if my battery's not full, seriously, we hear this all the time, but I'm encouraging you, ladies, to really take this in, especially if you're in the middle of growing something and you're on fire. That's the best place to practice this. Don't wait till you burn out. A lot of women, you're hearing them now talk about that. You're hearing them go, I'm taking a pause from social media. I'm taking a pause. They're disappearing for a month or two because they didn't do this all alone.
Right.
And so just finding a language, just one little thing is like even no thank you. It's so hard to say. But, right now I'm at capacity right now. But I'll get back to you. Let's have a conversation in a few months.
Yeah. Isn't that something? And that is the brave, that is the courage that it takes and that is putting yourself first and taking care of yourself.
And have an idea journal, right? So for people that have ideas, right, don't lose it. Just don't act on it. Just go, okay, Brenda, I'm going to write this down in my idea journal. And boom, or type it out, however, and then we'll revisit it when I'm done with these two things that I'm doing right now.
Yes. And girls, so just so you know, because all the issues have different resources. So the first issue has a journal page for my brilliant ideas.
Yeah, see?
Because that is one of my things that someone else told me a long time ago. Like, write down those ideas. You don't have to act on them now. They're great ideas, but you don't have to act on them right now. Right. All these things. And, your 30-minute look at or 30-second, look at yourself, say something nice to yourself is also in one of the earlier issues as well. I think it's in issue 2. So ladies, there's all these little things that you can think about and walk through. So let's quickly walk through the next couple steps. So just to give them kind of the complete picture of how to walk through this. And, Brenda, I just quickly want to say that one of the things about boundaries that I just recently experienced was that somebody set a boundary with me. Oh. And it was the first time. And I was so thankful that they did, because it gave me a road to walk in. It gave what you talk about in this, it gave clarity. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Thank you for saying that. Now I know how to be and how to act within that particular situation.
Yes.
And I had never seen boundaries that way.
Well, and this is what was really important, because I did this, you do it in the business, but it's also about this third step, expect discomfort, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's where growth rarely feels graceful at first, right? It feels shaky, it feels sticky. It's, it doesn't. But it's like when I had gone through 3 divorces and I was determined I am going to make this, my neck, then I didn't want to be alone. I knew I wouldn't be alone. So I was going to make it, the best I could. And I knew I had to start with myself. So I've been doing this inner work within it, learned boundaries. I didn't know I didn't have them. Right. So
Right.
I learned that I didn't. So when I got together with Doug, it was so funny because I said, hey, I was in a really stressful corporate job. I said, I can't talk every night. We can talk on Tuesdays and Thursdays after 7, and we'll see each other on Saturdays and Sundays. That's my availability.
Oh, okay.
And he looked at me and he goes, thank you. And I said, what? Because I was expecting him to go, well, that's too strict, right? And he goes, thank you, because now I don't have to guess. I don't have to wonder if I'm supposed to text you or call you. I don't, and because they feel uncomfortable too.
Yes.
And so when we do
the guesswork out,
it takes the guesswork. What am I available for in this time of my life right now? It's not, this is what I'm available for. And
Yeah.
also with clients, when we work together, right? This is what you can expect from me. And then make it tangible, make it real. Don't give them 50 million things, but just say, this is what I'm available for. This is how I will show up for you. And this is how I want you to show up for me. Are you able to do that for yourself? Show up for yourself, right? In the work that we're doing together. And so, so it's really good. Now, this is not comfortable. I was fully expecting something different because I had tried that on a couple other guys I dated, and they're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Right. But that told me a lot. It was like, oh, you're not respecting me. So understand it's not easy when we first start to do this. And we start small. Yeah. Right. We start small with just learning, like you said, it's like just saying no, or just saying, I'm at capacity right now, or let me get back to you.
Yeah.
But the first place to start is yourself, like you said earlier. It's like, oh, this is a great idea. Brenda, no. Karen, no. Nope. I'm going to write this down on my big idea page, and I'm just going to stay over here in my lane. Shiny things, entrepreneurs. We want the women that are we admire these women that are writing a book, doing a program, going and speaking and doing these things.
Leading retreats. They're doing it all.
But remember that the more that we do, our brain can only handle one thing at a time. So how much am I really giving to each of these things that I say I love to do? That's being real. And that's what I had to look at with this. That's what caregiving does. That's what grief does, is it allows you to go, what do I really have capacity for? What am I really available for? And where can I put all of my energy so that this thing shows up in the world the way I really want it to show up?
Yeah.
And so can I. And it was hard. It's not easy, as you and I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is not easy. And one of the things too, I just want to let women know is that come to this, when setting even boundaries for yourself, you're not broken.
No.
You are growing. You're becoming that beautiful woman that you are meant to be. And I know, sometimes we think, oh, well, I'm broken. I got to fix this. And so just knowing that, no, like you said, have that compassion for yourself.
Yes.
And this last step, I love so much because I love to celebrate, and it's celebrate the wins. You know what? When I said that to that woman, I need to pause and think on this, and I'll get back to you. When I got off the phone, I actually did like a little whoop, I was proud of myself for saying that because I don't usually do that. And even on a call earlier today, I had to kind of say what I was willing to do. And the other person didn't care for it as much, and they saw it differently. But I had to stand my ground and protect my space so I felt safe.
Yes.
In making a decision.
Yes. And always celebrate. And because the one thing that's something I didn't do, and sometimes I don't, and I'm learning myself, but keep in mind that the more that we celebrate, that gives us the good chemicals in our brain. It gives
Oh,
us that little
yeah, yeah.
oxytocin or dopamine hit. And the more that we get those, the more the brain goes, ooh, she likes that.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
means, right? So you're building
yes.
a habit based off of celebrating like
Yeah.
these little teeny things. Like get off the phone and do that little happy dance, or get
Yeah.
off the phone and go, yes,
I
or
did it.
right, or put it in the comments on the fave page, right, for Facebook, or in the text chat,
Yeah.
or in the wherever. Celebrate or send it off with somebody. Do something immediately. And when you involve someone else,
Hmm.
it's like an accountability,
Ooh.
right? It's like somebody coming back to you and say, way to go. That's so good, because our brain loves that too.
Yeah. Oh, we can celebrate the little wins, and I love it. And that's the everyday brave. That's when I talk
Yeah.
about brave. It's those little decisions. It's that little action that maybe you took. Maybe you walked out the door and went for a 10-minute walk, or whatever, or made a decision that you didn't, were putting off forever, or set a boundary somehow. So Brenda, this is such a great conversation. And I'm going to read this quote that you have on your worksheet. I am no longer shrinking to be liked. I am no longer silencing my truth to stay safe. I am learning to love myself by honoring my voice. I am not just nice, I am whole.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for coming and sharing with us. And is there anything you would like to leave the ladies with today as we close out?
I am encouraging you ladies to pause, to give yourself permission to pause before we do anything. Take a breath, because that's something we don't do as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We're going, it gets tight, but just take a breath and remember that you are worth putting yourself first. It's uncomfortable and it's not easy to learn, but you're in a group of women of fave that will encourage that. And we all need encouragement. We're not going to remember everything. Like
Nope.
Karen was saying, it's like, we have tools, but we got to be reminded to use them. And that's okay, because you know what? Being whole doesn't mean we're perfect.
Yes, I love that. One of the things, as I was walking through some difficult situation, I had a note on my desk, and it said, on the other side, I want to be whole and healthy and walk in dignity and grace.
Yes.
Did I always do that? No, but I had a little note there to remind me.
Yeah.
So ladies, we can be whole and healthy and walk this journey together. And like Brenda said, there's these little tools that we have, and this is one of them. And thank you for bringing this to us today, Brenda, and walking us through. And ladies, know that too. You can reach out to Brenda. That is one of the things about this Being Brave tour, is that these women have, go look in the magazine on Brenda's page, and it has ways to connect with her. And she will walk you through this worksheet. So we are on this journey together, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful walk.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Brenda.
You're welcome.